How's it going, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Fairy Deer. Just letting you all know, my throat is a little bit iffy. I think it's actually I think it's sore on the outside, not the inside, so my voice shouldn't be too affected, but it's just a bit funny at the moment. And also apologies if you also hear my dog in the background. My family have gone for a wander without her, even though I just took her for a walk. So she is being a pain right now. She wants to go for another walk. So ignore that if you hear dog noises. Before we get into things, as always, just letting you all know that my dark fantasy original English light novel, The Protector Volume 1, is coming out January 10th, 2025, available in paperback, ebook, and audiobook. Check the link in the description for places you can buy it. I'm constantly adding websites to the shop section of my link tree that include different countries you can purchase the book at. So I'll be looking into getting as many sites there as possible, so you can buy the book when it comes out. I would be eternally grateful if you did that for me. That'd be awesome. All right, now it's time to remember how to do all these voices. Misha, get ready. We need to go. I can hear you, no need to shout. You're shuddered. Here you are. Okay, you have 5 minutes to get ready. I'll be waiting outside. Arsenic and I exchanged glances. Our unfinished backgammon game didn't want to let me go. We've been at this for a while. How about we call it a draw? Sure thing. How could I refuse such an offer? It was my only chance of ever getting close to a victory. Good. Well, Godspeed. We stood up and he put his hand on my shoulder. Good luck. Thanks. Return safe and sound. I simply nodded in reply. Arsenic became like this sometimes. He would see us off as if we were never to return. A couple of times he even chanted a prayer. Go now, and I'll look for something to do. That was quick. I thought I would have to wait until nightfall. Why? Arsenic has been gloomy since early morning. Told me something worried him. I thought he'd start putting charms on you for your safe return. Not really, he just wished me luck. Alright, let's move. We're going further than usual today. We need to hurry before it gets dark. The forest stood in front of us like a dark wall. Tall, loud, it was trying to scare us away, make us return to the cabin. Don't lag behind. Don't lag behind. I sound like a robot sometimes. A single trail led into the darkness. It snaked into its depths, then split up and joined multiple times, coiled itself into a noose. The trail avoided all of the traps we'd placed. We had more of them deeper into the forest, but those could only be found by Yura using God knows what landmarks. Watch your feet. The beasts have become clever. They eat the bait from the traps and throw them away without triggering. Some of them can be lying on the path, so look out. I squirmed. It was quite easy to not notice a trap in this forest semi-dark. Those traps could leave me toeless. I started walking cautiously, studying the darkness under my feet. Branches hanged over our heads, trying to steal as much light as possible from us. Heavy, creaky, they looked like they were ready to fall at any moment. This place was blood-chilling. Rotten, dangerous, suffocating. It devoured every ray of light it could reach. With its never-ending fog and the dead trees, the forest tried to trip us up, make us stay in it forever. Yura and I slowly advanced on our usual route, stopping here and there to look into the bushes and check on our traps. They were all empty, like usual. Some of the traps were untouched, Some of them were missing bait. We just passed the stream. How do you know? I can feel it. The forest is angrier here, and it'll only get worse the deeper we go. Stay quiet for now, for good measure. I couldn't feel anything. I doubted anyone but Urag would be able to feel something like this, but I didn't doubt his hunter's intuition. If he said I needed to stay quiet, I stayed quiet. The forest withered with every step we took. The deeper we went, the less it rustled with leaves and creaked with branches. Even the birds were silent, apart from a lonely hoot from some owl at the edge of my hearing. How much deeper are we going today? We're almost there. It's going to get dark soon, and we've left our usual route a long time ago. Don't fret, it's gonna be okay. I always make it back before sunset. Oh, so this is the place you visit when making the rounds without me. Yep, there's a trap there, on the left. Be careful. I hugged the edge of the path. I couldn't see anything because of the tall grass. Where are we going? To the biggest trap I've ever made. Is this why it's so far away? Yes, I wouldn't have been able to make it anywhere else. Careful, don't slip up now. The tiny trail came to a sudden end, and I froze at the end of a ravine. It was at least 2 meters wide, but I couldn't make out anything on the other side of it. Watch your step here. If you fall, you're as good as dead. A river of fog steamed on the ravine's floor. It undiluted, creating countless swirls while hugging rocks? Bushes? I couldn't make out the details in the dark. Something black protruded from the fog, pointing its carnivorous tips at me. Is this a long fall? What? No. The ravine is pretty shallow, 3 meters at worst, but I've placed spikes at the bottom. The ravine stretched endlessly into both sides. The spikes stood in uneven rows as its whole length. How long did this take you? A month, maybe. I would make the rounds on our traps, then come here to whittle the spikes. Good thing there's enough wood to go around here. But why? Don't you think it's a bit too much for the deer? Yura scraped the back of his head. Let's go check the ravine. I'll tell you on the way. We went forward. The grass underneath our feet was damp and slippery, so I had to grab at the nearby trees to avoid falling on the spikes. Just the thought that I could fall down and die made me nauseous. How often do you come here? Once a week, maybe. He stared into the swirling fog. There's no point in checking more often, and this trap doesn't need recharging. Still, don't you think it's a bit too much? The deer won't even notice these spikes, you know, if all those stories are true. Then I don't get it at all. He craned his neck, trying to see the farther side of the ravine. What's up with this childish question? Haven't you spent your whole life in the forest? I glanced at the spikes. They poked out in all directions, but most of them were aimed at the trees on the other side of the ravine. Don't tell me they're for the thicket beasts. Who else would they be for? I looked at the other side of the ravine once again. Everybody knew there were beasts, and then there were the beasts. The creatures from the forest's depths. Dark, hairy, extremely dangerous, and almost in our backyard. They may be wandering nearby, and we don't even see them amongst the forest's darkness. They don't come out during the day, don't they? I'll say this, I haven't seen them in the light of day. It's just light is hard to come by in our forest. You know, The sun is always so bright in fairy tales, but here... bother. He crunched his neck. You can't be sure about anything in here. Something rustled in the bushes behind us. I shuddered and instinctively grabbed at the tree branch near me. I didn't want to get startled and fall into the ravine. Yes, maybe I'm just overthinking. Maybe I'm even paranoid. But it's better to be paranoid and alive than mentally stable and dead. I suddenly felt the urge to go back up to Veronica, to get away from this ravine, the spikes, and the dark thicket. All of this is so oppressing. I don't know what to do. I never hunted those creatures, always fled from them. But if this doesn't help, I don't know what will. The bushes rustled again. Was it my imagination? Or was the sound closer this time? Yura bit on his lower lip. Let's get out of here. Slowly. I only just noticed his eyes. I was about to ask what happened, but Yura put a finger to his lips. Slowly but surely, without making a sound, we walked the way we came. I fixed my gaze at the place where I heard the rustling sound come from. Maybe it was just a squirrel. You would usually meet them at the edge of the forest, but you never know. The most important part that it wasn't anything dangerous. We almost reached the trail. The soil here collapsed more, so there was almost no space to move. Come on, move. Be careful. Something black whizzed in front of my face like a bullet, went into the other side of the ravine, and disappeared into the darkness. My vision started turning. Oh no, I was falling. The world spun. Carnivorous spikes reached for me. No, no, no. Hold on! My leg burned. Waves of pain crawled upwards. Only then did I realize I wasn't falling. My legs dangled in the air, barely touching a lonely spike. Yura had a firm grip on my hand. His face went white from exertion, and his boots slid on the wet grass. Pull me up! He looked me in the eye, but didn't pull. He just froze at the edge of the ravine. I felt his palms sweating. I was starting to slip. Yura! He shuddered, as if coming back to his senses. Yura threw his body backwards in a swift motion and pulled me out of the death trap. Damn it! Misha! You alright? I'm alive. I pulled myself up and crawled onto the ravine's edge. What even happened? Something jumped at me from there. What? I don't know. Something quick and black, like a shadow. A shadow, huh? His expression became grim as he looked at the thicket. And you asked what the spikes were for? Let's pray that only the little ones snoop about here. Alright. Let's go home. We don't want to loiter here. I tried to get up, but sharp pain in my leg stopped me. Wait up, What are you sitting there for? He got closer and then gasped. Your pants are all bloody. Did it pierce my leg after all? Everything happened so quickly that I couldn't process anything. Something warm trickled down my leg. Looks gruesome, but I think it's nothing too bad. Shit, there's not enough light. Come here. Yura grabbed my hand and supported me with his shoulder. When Veronica finds out, we'll never hear the end of it. Let's move as fast as we can. The sooner we cleanse your wound, the better. Pops, get the first aid kit. Yura dragged me into the cabin and sat me on the sofa. My leg reminded me of itself with sharp pulsating pain. I looked down. My pants were soaked in blood at this point. Goodness gracious! What happened? Stop whining. Get the first aid kit. Misha, you alright? I'm fine. Stop making a fuss. What happened to him? Nika rushed to my side. She examined my wound with worry and grabbed... Oh, sorry. Shit. There we go. Then grabbed my hand and looked at me in the eye. How do you feel? Who did this to you? Come on. He told us not to make a fuss. Yura unceremoniously pulled out the bloody pants. I frowned and gritted my teeth from the pain. No pain, no gain, buddy. He carefully examined my calf, which had drop after drop of blood rolling down it. Okay, there are no splinters here. There are no splinters there. The wound is not very deep. You'll live. Hear that, Misha? I nodded, staring in terror at the bottle of pure alcohol in his hands. This is going to hurt. Veronica held out her hand toward me, as if reading my thoughts. I grabbed it tight and shut my eyes. My whole body stung as if it was about to be torn to pieces. Seconds passed, but the pain wasn't about to subside. I instinctively squeezed Nika's hand even tighter, praying to all gods for this torture to end faster. And it did, leaving behind a slight tingling sensation. Only now was I able to open my eyes and unclench my fingers. Phew. You almost broke my hand. And not even a sound from him. That's a real man for you. Tired, I leaned back into the sofa and didn't even look at Veronica, who was tying a bandage around my foot. I suddenly had the desire to sleep, so I yawned, trying to get comfortable. Maybe you should go sleep in the bedroom. You went through a lot today, and this small sofa won't bring you any peace. I slowly shook my head. I didn't want to get up. I'll escort him. Hold tight, Misha. A pair of caring hands pulled me up, and I slowly limped after my wife toward the bedroom. I had a feeling that going to the forest today was a bad idea. I knew something terrible would come of it. Don't look at me like that, Pops. How could I know he'd fall into the ravine? It's because you put these spikes everywhere. Thank God it only grazed him. He said that a dark shadow flew in front of his face. Yeah, you brag about your spike trap, but when it comes to traps for flying creatures... Arsenic grumbled something under his breath and went to his room, shuffling his feet on the floor. I should tell him that Yura did nothing wrong, but that's for tomorrow. The only thing I still had the energy for today was sound sleep. Jesus, I'm cracking and creaking. Wee-hee. Good morning, Arsenic. He raised his head and put the little doll and the knife into his pocket. Oh, you're finally awake. How's your leg? Steadily getting better. I frowned. It's already been a week, but every step still resounded with pain. Where's everybody? Well, the lunch break is over. They're all busy with something. What do you mean, lunch? Did I sleep in again? Why didn't you wake me up? Veronica wouldn't let us. I get her. The forest always takes its dues. You need to rest after something like this. A week, or even 2. I had something similar happen to me when I was searching for the White Lake. I fell into a pit halfway to the local village. My leg got swollen pretty much instantly. I could barely move. So yeah, I spent a couple of days there. If not for the village folk. Arsenic had already told us this story at least 3 times. While he was reminiscing about that village's local cuisine, I looked into the kitchen. Veronica wasn't there. And then Masha came to me. Arsenic? Where's Nika? She's outside, in the garden. Do you want to talk to her? No, just wanted to find out what the others are doing. What about Yura? He's been in the forest since early morning. Arsenicked. Arsenicked. Okay. He heaved a deep sigh. He didn't look at me, but at the cabin's door. He was mentally among the dark trees once again. Again? Isn't he spending all of his waking hours there? I tried talking him out of it, but you know Yura. Besides, we can't go check the traps by ourselves. We won't be able to check them if something happens to Yura. You're right, but some of the traps do need to be remade, sadly. So we won't have another tragedy. Come on, it wasn't a tragedy. Look. I stomped the floor and immediately regretted doing it. A wave of pain spread upwards, eventually hitting my head. Stop acting like a hero or you'll end up spending another month indoors. What do you mean? I'm all ready to head out into the forest. Pipe down, I say. Veronica will chew both of our heads off. That's it. I've already spent too much time talking to you, and I have other things to do. So many things. Arsenic started walking around the room, waving his hands. He looked around in a daze, shifting his gaze between the backgammon board and the cellar hatch. He looked at the hatch more and more as seconds passed. Is everything okay? What? Oh, yes. Arsenic? It's nothing serious. Look, I'm already a geezer, so my own heart worries about small things. And don't you look at me like that. Still, you'd be better off talking about it. Doesn't matter if it's something minor. Tell me what worries you. He sighed. Fine. I was recounting our supplies. They're fine, but I noticed something. Arsenic stuttered. Look, I don't want to blame anyone, but Yura started bringing less meat. I mean, he's hunting alone now. Still, he's spending more time there, and it's not like Yura needed much help before. Thoughts I didn't like at all floated up in my mind. Yes, but I'm still worried. If these parts have less game now, we'll have to look for a new place to live soon. We can't. This is the only place where the deer was seen. If we leave, we'll let it get away for sure. We'll eat less if need be, but resettling is out of the question. In any case, there's no need to worry for now. Maybe it's temporary, or Yura really needs some help. Let's wait until you get better. I'll have a chat with him. The old man shrugged. This is why I didn't want to tell you. I knew you'd want to get to the bottom of it. Please, don't. Not right now. Yura is so wound up lately. He's at his wit's end. I tried making him talk, but he just jokes around. I think it's all because of your leg. If you start fighting, things will only get worse. I wasn't going to blame him or fight with him. Sure, but he doesn't know that. I've known him longer than you. Heed my advice. Yura is a good man, but he keeps to himself. Give him time. He'll figure things out. And what if it gets worse after all? Then we'll decide what to do. Don't rush things. Alright, as you wish. Arsenic smiled in gratitude. Everything has been so grim lately. Hey, how about you take out your guitar tonight? Veronica and I will whip up something fancy for dinner. This will raise our spirits a little. Okay. This week was horrendous. We do deserve some rest. Then I'll go call Nika, and you help with the dishes. Yura should be back soon. Nika decided to deal with the dishes herself, and while she was doing her magic alongside Arsenic in the kitchen, I sat in the living room, tuning the guitar. A joyful fuss prevented me from concentrating, but my fingers continued fiddling with the tuners. Nika, maybe I can help after all. Don't you dare! You need your rest. I was already tired of just sitting and waiting, but everybody forbade me from standing up and being helpful, in unison. Every pair of hands counted in the forest. I could clearly see how my part of the job was now split between Nika, Yura, and even Arsenic. They all looked so tired. I put away the guitar, limped my way to the kitchen, and started setting the table. Didn't I tell you to rest? I smiled and kissed my wife on her frowned forehead. I am resting. Besides, you do need help. The smell is amazing. What's for dinner tonight? Nika mumbled something and continued staring the insides of a pot. Stew! Try it. It's delicious. I hugged my wife. Come on, don't pout. Will they be ready soon? 10 more minutes and it will be on the table. Wonderful. My legs still pulsated with weak pain, but I paid it no mind, placing the dishes and the cutlery on the table. I followed the smell. The door flung open, letting in the evening cool. Yura disappeared into the cellar without even taking off his shoes. Arsenic's words about Yura bringing less meat flashed in my mind. How's the catch today? The only reply I got were the rummaging sounds coming from the cellar's depths. After a few moments, the hunter's head popped out from the hatch. Why are you shouting like this? I said, how's the catch? Yura helped himself up with his shoulders, got out of the cellar and sighed. I saw a goose today. Almost caught it, but the bastard managed to fly into the thicket. I decided against venturing there alone. If it gets into one of our traps, we'll collect it later. I shot a lot of small stuff, though. I exchanged looks with Arsenic. He gave me a slight nod. That was the hint for me to back off. What's for dinner today? I'm absolutely starved. Stew. It's ready, by the way. Can you give me a hand, David Arsenovic? I noticed this the first time I played the game. For some reason, Veronica always says Arsenovic's full name. Like she always does. I don't know if that's like a respect your elders sort of thing. I'm not sure, but I've noticed she always says that. Yummy. What's next on the agenda? Yura leaned back on the sofa and gave his belly a satisfied rub. The stew turned out amazing indeed. I ate so much I could barely breathe, and I didn't want to stand up from the table. We wanted to have some fun with the guitar, but I think I'm stuck sitting here. Nika giggled joyfully. You'll need to eat more. You'll get better faster that way. Well, you'll be the one to carry me over to the guitar then. I don't want to make the trip on my own after you have fed me like that. I stood up. Nika rushed to my side and safely escorted me to the sofa. I picked up the guitar and looked at the people sitting around me. What should I play? The one I've been nagging you about for ages. The cow song. Yes, something jolly would be just right. I strummed the strings. Okay, sounds good. Wait a moment. No, that's Yura. Wait a moment. Hints of worry sneaked into his voice. I listened closely. Some other sound was hidden under the guitars. A weird noise came from the outside, as if something was writhing on the other side of the wall. It scratched against the cabin, rustled the wilted leaves and sniffed around. The sun had already set. Darkness gathered at our windows. I'll go check. He was about to get up from the sofa, but Arsenic grabbed at his sleeve. Sit tight. We don't know who or what our guest is. Nika pressed herself into me in fear. I put the guitar away and embraced my wife. The sounds didn't end. Chills ran down my spine. Who could be loitering around our cabin? What is this, David Arsenovic? Shush, don't move. He froze in place, listening closely to the reigning silence. Someone huge wandered around our house, breathing heavily. A wild beast? I immediately imagined a massive body moving around in the darkness. Its square head swaying back and forth, trying to discern what is standing in front of it. Free meat had walked into our hands, it seems. He took the hunting rifle and flashed a carnivorous smile at his future victim. Something grumbled right under the window. Wait, maybe we shouldn't. What if it's one of them? Come on, I'll only take a look. Bam. You're frozen in place. The window shook from the hit. A huge black paw scratched against it with its claws. Is that a bear? Shush, I tell you. He couldn't tear his eyes off the silhouette in the window. He seemed like it was woven from darkness. Even the sky outside wasn't this dark. And then it hit me. This wasn't a bear. Bam! Bam! The beast kept banging on the window, as if telling us to let it in. The glass kept shaking, and I had only one thought occupying my mind. What if the beast breaks down the window? Dried herbs rained from the ceiling after every new hit. Small red balls hit against the floor. Foxberry. They were supposed to protect us. Everybody knew wild beasts hated their scent. But now it was hard to believe, looking at the giant standing outside. Just this beast's paw was as big as my torso. How could some berries save you from this? Something hot fell on my shoulder. I finally tore my eyes off the window and noticed tears streaming down Nika's cheeks. It's gonna be alright. It'll leave soon. I whispered those encouraging words into her ear, wiped away her tears, tried to remain calm for her sake, at the very least. I knew that if our guest from the forest turned out to be persistent, we would have no chance to survive. The creature struck again, now hitting the wall. Stuff went flying from the shelves. The old cabin squeaked in agony. Arsenic, white as a sheet, knelt down and scooped up a few berries. Don't provoke it. The old man put his clenched fist into the candle. The berries blackened. A toxic smell filled the room. A bitter taste appeared in my mouth. Don't breathe. The window crashed. Cold wind broke into the room along with the glass fragments. Two eyes, full of malice, shone in the darkness. Another smell got added to that of burning berries. The smell of blood. Death itself squeezed its maw into the cabin. Arsenic sprang up, threw the berries at the window, and fell to the floor. My body instinctively followed him, dragging Veronica down as well. Yura plopped on the floor beside us. The creature roared after noticing the hated smell. I tried to squeeze myself into the floor. I would have tried to fall through it if I could. We needed to hide. We needed to run. The bear snorted angrily one more time and stepped away from the window, away from the burning berries. It's leaving. His voice was trembling. The beast kept on snorting and roaring, but somewhere far away, close to the thicket. Yura stood up and went toward the sofa with unwobbly legs. Silence reigned for a long time, and it felt much more intense than the one 5 minutes ago. How did it miss us? These berries gave off a lot of smoke. Maybe it helped. Or maybe the creature itself can't see well. Who cares? We're alive. That's what matters. What now? We looked at each other. We all wanted to reassure Nika, but no one could find the right words. I don't know. How did that creature end up here in the first place? Yura told me that all the forest horrors stay on the other side of that stream. Was he wrong? If so, it could only mean one thing. Staying here is unsafe. I jumped to my feet and started pacing around the cabin, trying to arrange my thoughts. We have nowhere else to go, Misha. Yura's right. We can only return to the nearest village, but it's at least a couple of days on foot. And forget about the deer? No way. Maybe we should stop looking for it, after all. We should have enough supplies to make the trip. This is the only place where the deer was seen. If we leave now, we may spend the rest of our lives in this forest. Do you want to live in constant fear for your life? Huh, Nika? I gently slapped the wooden wall. After all, this cabin is our fortress. I wish we had better defenses, but it should keep us safe while we're searching for the deer. Misha, calm down, please. You saw that creature. It doesn't care about the cabin. We got lucky this time because it didn't notice us and we had some berries on our hands. But you should know, as soon as a creature from the forest gets into a frenzy, there's no stopping it. Do you really want to risk all of our lives for some old fairy tale? The deer is real. I stepped forward and grabbed his shirt. Oh no, don't fight. Tears still streamed down Vika's cheeks. I sighed and let Yura go. Fine. There's no point in arguing now. We'll discuss everything tomorrow, after a good night of sleep. I walked toward my and Nika's bedroom. I locked the door, sat on the bed, and covered my face with my hands. I couldn't form any coherent thoughts. The deer. I needed to catch it before it's too late. Before the forest takes away all that I hold dear. If I force everyone to stay here, in the cabin, we'll be in constant danger. If we go back to the village, we can say goodbye to the dream of seeing the beautiful tomorrow. I was getting torn apart by my own thoughts. Yura. He showed me that stream, and said that the water from it will help me find the deer. This is it. I yanked the cabinet open and started rummaging inside. Where was it? Got you. The flask gleamed in the faint moonlight. I opened it, and after taking a couple of sips, fell onto the bed, without even getting undressed. Relief slowly enveloped my mind. My eyes were obstructed by a thin veil. Then I saw a glade, somewhere deep in the forest. I've passed it a couple of weeks ago, with Yura. There was nobody at the glade, not even the forest creatures. It was completely empty, yet something rustled in the bushes. I looked closer and realized that some of the branches high up We're missing leaves. Actually, those weren't even branches. From the bushes, swaying its horned head, the deer appeared. It looked around like it owned the place, then walked towards a pine and started plucking moss from its trunk. I just stood there, enchanted, and looked at my ticket to the beautiful tomorrow, unable to move. After eating its share, the deer turned around. Its gaze, calm and wise, met with mine, enchanted and excited. Playful lights flashed inside the creature's eyes. I swear, if the deer could talk, it would have laughed at my face and said, "Catch me if you can." The beast stomped its hooves on the ground and ran away, but I still couldn't force myself to move. The forest's darkness gathered around me, leaving me one-on-one with the sound of disappearing hoof falls. Sunlight hit me straight in the eye. I woke up with a loud sneeze. Veronica wasn't in the bed. Damn, how long was I asleep for? They didn't wake me up again. Still worried about me, I guess. I sighed and sat up. My leg doesn't hurt anymore. What's up with all the fuss? Nonetheless, sound sleep did a lot of good for me. I felt better than ever. Arsenic sat in the living room, moving pieces on the backgammon board back and forth, deep in thought, heaving sighs from time to time. Good morning. It's past afternoon already. I know. Why didn't you wake me up? You were too nervous yesterday. We wanted you to get a proper rest. I'm fine. You don't have to baby me like this. Besides, we have no time to rest here. Exactly. We need to decide what we're doing next. Nero came out of the kitchen with a glass of water in hand. After taking a couple of sips, he wiped his lips with his coat sleeve and sat beside us. Still want to remain here, under the noses of those ugly bastards? I nodded and looked around. Where's Veronica? In the garden. You should probably go talk to her. Pops and I wanted her to stay inside for now, but she didn't want to hear about it. She's in a foul mood today. It was obvious why. Some people go mad after meeting with the forest's darkness. Nico was doing good compared to those. Later. I have something to tell you. I don't know, maybe I'm going bonkers, but... I sighed. I saw the deer in my dreams tonight. It stood at the glade, grazing on moss. And he shifted around on the chair. That's it. It just stood there for a bit and then ran away. But that's not the point. I know that place. Get it? We've been there once. What if the deer decided to give us a hint on where to find it? So, you're saying it's somewhere close? I guess so. I say we go and check today. It's near the stream. The door opened with a squeak. Veronica stood in the doorway carrying a bucket of potatoes. Without saying a word, she went to the kitchen and smashed it against the floor. Veronica, would you mind coming over here? I heard barely audible grumbling from the kitchen. What do you want? Hey, chill. We're holding a family council here. Still silent, she sat beside me and crossed her arms on her chest. Alright, now that everybody's here, first things first, what's the plan? Do we stay here or do we try going back to the village? I think we should say, the deer is somewhere close. I can feel it. You do realize it was just a dream, right? Nika's brow moved even closer to her nose bridge. What dream are you talking about? The deer came to me tonight. I saw it munch on some moss at the glade near the stream. What if the deer itself wants us to finally find it? We can't rely on dreams. Remember my uncle, who suffered from nightmares? He kept dreaming about some miracle cure for his problems hidden deep in the woods. You do remember what happened to him, right? Please, let's not go there. He died. He couldn't resist going to the forest and perished there. We'll meet the same fate if we stay in a place where we almost got eaten by a bear. We need to leave. I disagree. We need to stay. It's a day-long trip to the village, if not more, and we had a bear wandering under our windows yesterday. We're as good as dead if we go into the forest at night. What Misha said is true. At least here we have somewhere to stay the night. We have the amulet, don't we, David Ostinovic? We do, but it won't save us from a bear. Didn't you say it'll drive away any beast? Well, that's the plan, but I still haven't figured out how to do it. I need time. Then we don't have a choice. I don't like any of this. Her green eyes leaked malice. I tried hugging Vika, but she slapped my hand. Who knows if that bear, or whatever it was, won't return tomorrow? And what if the berries don't help next time? You're exaggerating. I know you're scared. We all are, but we'll get through this, okay? We have each other, and we'll do what we can to get out of this thicket safe and sound. Look at me. I made an oath to you under the Alder spruce that I will get you out of here and shield you from danger. Remember? I do, but I don't know if you'll be able to deal with a monster like that. Arsenic, he was silent until that moment, sighed. What's on your mind, Pops? I've been thinking. Even if we're destined to die in this forest, it's better to die believing in the beautiful tomorrow. We should never give up. So, you've decided to stay then? Yes. Well, we still have each other. Nothing bad will happen. Now that's the spirit. Don't worry, Nika. We'll make more traps and place them around the house. Not a single monster will even get close. Let's see them try. He stood up and grabbed the rifle that stood against the wall. And if somebody dares show up, I'll... He swung the rifle, imitating a shot. Nika giggled, and I finally felt relieved. She finally smiled. Well, what's next? Are we going to place the traps? Yes, He suddenly slapped his forehead. Today is the day we make the rounds. We need to check the traps in the forest. Everybody looked out the window at the same time, towards the forest the bear recently went into. The image of the giant paw flashed in my mind. How can a creature this big be living here? What does it eat? Other monsters? They must taste horrible. Unlike a bunch of humans in a fragile cabin, we probably are a delicacy for that bear. This is out of the question. It's a surefire way to die. Only if that bear hadn't returned to the thicket. And it did. Those creatures hate light, and you know that. It shouldn't have been here at all. Yura slapped the tabletop. Pops, we're not going anywhere like this. We could sit in the shack until the second coming, shaking from fear and die anyway. I don't want that. I'm willing to bet anything that after the sunrise, that creature buggered off, and we can enter the forest safely. It's impossible. Misha, tell him. He's going to get himself killed. I curled my lips. My heart was beating so hard I could feel it in my ears. I had never seen anything scarier than that bear in my life. Just thinking about meeting it again made me nauseous. I took a deep breath to calm myself down. I've already resolved myself. I'm sorry, but we need to go. No way! What if the bear is still there? You all saw it. Tell me, do you really think we'll be able to survive its next attack? I got no reply. Yura tapped his fingers on the table. Arsenic stared into space, frowning. Veronica squeezed my hand tight. My hand, I'm assuming it's meant to say. The deer is our only salvation. We need to catch it. There's not a moment to waste. What if it got caught in one of our traps? We can't spare any chances. We need to go. I'm glad that somebody has their mind straight. Come on, ready up. No, you're staying. Why is that? You'll be making more traps. If the bear decides to come back, we need to be prepared. Yura's eyes darted between me, the window, and the forest. His fists were clenched so tight, his knuckles went pale. Alright, you've got a point. Do you remember the route? I nodded. Good. He stood up and went toward the front door. Wait up! Misha, are you going there alone? Yura and I exchanged glances. He just shrugged and walked out of the cabin. Don't worry, I'll be fine. No, you won't! Your leg only just healed up. You're still limping! Stop exaggerating. I stomped my foot on the floor a bunch of times. See? I'm fine. Don't give me this look. I have to go. I'm the only one fit for the job. I'm going with you. No, that's out of the question. You can't order me around. If you're going, I'm going. Stop treating me like a helpless little girl. I've been inside the forest many times. I can fend for myself. She gave me a daring look. I sighed. Why did she decide to argue with me now, of all times? I'm against the idea. What if we stumble upon the bear? I can't risk your life. All right. Let's stop fighting. The three of us will go. Oh, not you too, Arsenovic. First of all, if we encounter the bear, one of us will surely die. I'd rather it be me than you two. Arsenovic. Second of all, I need to finish this. A wooden doll reappeared in his hands. It had more runes now, and its two jeweled eyes glimmered in the lamp's light. I need more materials. I'll try rubbing some herbs into it. Maybe it'll work. You can just tell us what you need. No, I'm going. You won't be able to pick the right ones, and I'll have to go later anyway. We will... That's it. The talk is over. Let's go. Oh, but I sense tragedy coming. The outside greeted us with the cold and rustling of leaves. My resolve disappeared as soon as I saw the forest's dark wall. It seemed like the forest was taking deep breaths, waiting for someone to get inside. I wanted to go back to the warm and safe cabin. I grinded my teeth and sighed. Should we take the rifle? It's useless against those monsters. We'll just end up losing it in the forest. Let's go without it. Alright. It's time to go. Follow my lead and watch your surroundings. If you hear or see something weird, We turn around and go back immediately. Don't give me that. I know my way around the forest. Come on. The sooner we start, the sooner we finish. One of these fuckers is getting caught in a trap, I know it. I listened to the thicket's sounds, shuddered from every rustle, but it was all apparently in vain. The bear had disappeared without a trace. Veronica, on the other hand, didn't seem to care. Looking at her, I couldn't tell if she was scared or worried at all. She bravely looked under every bush, searched for tracks, constantly tried to get ahead of me. When was the last time we ventured into the forest together? A couple of months ago, I guess, when we only got to the lonely cabin. After that, I asked Veronica to refrain from going here, and she didn't protest. There was a lot of chores at home, and Europe claimed that he's not our nanny, so he won't go out of his way to look for us in the forest. Veronica looked around after the house. I helped Yura and Arsenovic. I was used to living that way, and I didn't want to change anything until we catch the deer. Phew. Let's take it slower, please. I'm too old to run like this. Hold on. We're almost there. Be careful. There are 2 traps inside the tall grass. Did you hear me, Nika? Yes, I remember. I'm following in your step. The forest was getting closer and closer. The trail became especially tiny here. There was no point in clearing out more. The forest grew back in a day or 2. Although Arsenovic only benefited from that fact, it seemed. He bent down multiple times to pluck herbs, cut some bark, and pick mushrooms. How many ingredients did he need for the amulet? Do you follow this route every time? Well, not exactly. Nero always places new traps and moves the old ones. He tried to explain how it all works to me once, but I could barely understand him. Veronica giggled. This is so like you. Ask him again, it's very important. You don't get it. He doesn't follow any specific rules or methods, only his intuition. It's to be expected with how experienced he is, but still, you should ask him to teach you. It'll make life easier for both of you. Yeah, Yura probably dreams of teaching me, especially now when he has more work than ever. I might talk to him about this later, or I'll catch the deer and that won't be necessary. Must be tough. What do you mean? Coming here all the time only to see empty traps? They're not always empty. Sometimes small game gets caught in these. Yura even brought back a fox once. But we're not hunting foxes. Arsenic looked at a random trap, dejected. It's carnivorous metal meeked out of the tall grass. If I remember correctly, it had been lying here like this for 2 weeks. The bait was left untouched. It's one thing when you just tell us there was no deer, but seeing this with my own eyes... He sighed and kicked a pebble without thinking. The trap sprung, clanging joyfully with its giant teeth. Oh, I'm so sorry. I simply waved my hand in reply. Don't worry about it. We needed to move it anyway. Since the bait is untouched, there's nothing to catch here. I almost feel like I should end here, but I know I've got a bit more time. And I feel like something's about to happen, so I might continue. We walked in silence for some time. It was starting to get dark, but it was harder to tell whether the day was drawing to a close, or we just ventured too deep into the forest. Tentacle-like roots sprouted from the ground, tall grass clung to our clothes. Somewhere deep in the forest, birds wailed. Trees around us creaked in annoyance, swaying their lush heads. Here we are. The last trap. It was always the same. Something inside me fluttered in anticipation, a hope that this time had caught it. I walked faster, imagining that I was about to see the horned beast. The trap was empty, just like all the others before it. Another failure. Veronica walked up to me and held my hand. It's okay. We'll catch it someday. Yeah. Someday. Maybe there are tracks nearby. I didn't see any. There are no tracks here. I stared into the darkness, disappointed. Come to think of it, the glade from my dream wasn't far away. We could go there and look for the tracks. This is hard to watch. I know how much effort you put into this, and all for nothing. Arsenic. I know, we shouldn't give up, even if it's tough, but... Arsenic? Don't move. David froze in place. I couldn't tear my eyes off of his back. There was a creature crawling on it. It was fat, ugly, and it glistened in the flashlight's ray. Viscous ooze slowly dripped to the ground. Its thick fingers were adorned by curled claws, which the creature used to tap its victim, finding the best place to chew in. Its maw, full of sharp teeth, seemingly twisted in a smirk. Arsenic tried to turn his head. The creature hissed. No, don't move. Think. How do I get it off? It will attack if we touch it. What if it's poisonous? I took a step forward. Only there was a stone around here or something. Alas, there was nothing under my feet apart from the leaves. What do we do? He looked surprisingly calm. The only thing that gave away his fear were his trembling hands. Wait a second, I'll try to scare it away. The flashlight swung, illuminating the creature for a moment. It shrieked and raised its paws in a threatening manner. Its jaws clanged. Take this! Nika jumped out from behind me. A branch swished through the air and hit the creature. It produced a pitiful squeak, fell to the ground, and started writhing in the grass. I ran to it and kicked it with all my might. The monster flew into the bushes, squealing. Are you alright, Arsenic? Did it bite you? I'm okay, I think. David clung to me to stop himself from falling. His knees were shaking. Thank you, Veronica. I am in your debt. The only thing that matters is that you're safe. A seething sound came from the bushes. The monster crawled into the light again. It left a trail of black ooze as it moved. A pair of pale eyes swirled with a nasty bubbling sound without stopping. Saliva formed on its sharp teeth. Look! More eyes flashed with malice in the darkness. I think this is where I'm going to end it. Sorry to edge you all like this, but I am going to leave it here. This is a bit too tantalizing. I think we're about to make a run for it. So I will end things here for now. Stay tuned for the next episode. Sorry about my voice once again. If my voice continues to not be so good, I'll try and figure out something else to upload that doesn't require me talking that much, or something else I've already filmed. We'll see. I'm not too sure yet. I'm going to try and keep the daily uploads throughout December. I've been doing okay so far, but we'll see what happens. Don't forget to check out the link in the description and pick up a copy of my book, Protector Volume 1. I would highly appreciate it if you did. And, thank you for tuning in, guys. I will see you in the next one. Catch you later.